Welcome to the Kellfire Show. Today, I am so pleased to be joined by Amy Bryan. She's a certified fitness and nutrition coach. She's also a retired educator of over 30 years, so we know we're going to get a lot of knowledge from Amy. Her podcast, she's the host of a podcast, and it is called Fat Loss School. I was lucky enough to be a guest on there and learned so much from Amy just in that conversation. So I'm so happy to have her on today to give us a little insight on a topic that most of us, I feel like, don't either have enough information or get pretty confused about, and that's intermittent fasting. So Amy, welcome, and go ahead, feel free to tell us a little about yourself, and then we'll jump in.
Well, I'll tell you how I came upon intermittent fasting. I retired from that career as an educator and became a grandmother and turned 51 all in the same month. And it was the perfect storm for me to have a crisis in my health and wellness because, I was eating my feelings. I guess that's a way to put it. And of course, I knew what we all know in our 50s, which is wrong, to eat less and exercise more. And I was trying to out-exercise my diet so much, so I had to come up with a plan that addressed the nutrition side. And I went looking and I found intermittent fasting as one of the strategies that I use and love, live, and teach.
Well, I'm super excited to jump into this one. I run across so many folks, and to be fair, it's mostly men that I've talked to that naturally gravitate towards intermittent fasting, are very successful. But I think there's so many women out there that say, this might be a way or a lifestyle that I'd like to lead, but this is not the way I was taught, and I don't really understand. And having said that, can you give us a little insight on why it's gaining popularity in females, specifically among midlife?
Well, we have done the eat less, exercise more. We've done low calorie, we've done low fat, we've done low carb, and I think this is the next iteration of what women in our 50s are interested in trying and seeing if it might be the magic thing for us. But I will say it's not a diet like those others that I mentioned. It is an eating pattern. So there's a period of digestive rest and then a period of fueling. And I like to explain it like this. If you wake up and have breakfast, you have a mid-morning snack because you're craving and hungry again. You have lunch, then you have an afternoon snack to pick you back up, and then you have your dinner, your supper meal, and then you probably have something sitting on the couch or your snack before bed. When you are fueling your body all the time, your body is using that easy energy for fuel. When you don't fuel with that all the time, your body will dip into stored fat for that fuel. And that's what I'm after. I'm after burning away that stored fat from our bodies. And so a period of digestive rest, like I don't eat in the mornings anymore. And that gives my body, from the time I stop eating about 7 or 8 at night until the next day at about 11 or 12, I break my fast and I have a meal. But what I've done is I've given my body a lot longer, that's about 16 hours, to tap into my fat stores. Then I refuel during that next 8 hours, from 11-ish, 12-ish to 7 or 8. I fuel well, and I fuel with healthy whole foods. I have lots of them. I'm not trying to cut calories by skipping that meal. I'm having all of the calories that I need, and that is the perfect storm of intermittent fasting. It is what works for dipping into that fat stores and burning it away. And when you do it consistently, you don't miss that morning meal. We grew up listening to Tony the Tiger and
Yes.
Aunt Jemima and Jimmy Dean telling us that the most important meal of the day is breakfast. And we know now why that was said. Not because that is true by research. It is because they wanted to sell us that cereal that was full of carbs and hardly anything that helped us, caused us to then need a mid-morning snack, so we bought their Special K bars or whatever
Right.
to refuel again. They were just selling to us. They weren't using research or facts or anything else. So when I learned that all of those years I was trying to start my metabolism with my breakfast, oh my goodness. I had tried to force it on my husband and my children, and now I'm the one that's saying, "Ooh, don't eat that garbage."
No, I'm really, and this became something that was new to me just by talking to um, several women and some of the guys that work here with me that do work on the website. We talked about intermittent fasting, and I've always been, of that mindset. Gen X from the '70s. You got to get up. You have to have breakfast. Anything else is you could miss. But breakfast you cannot miss. And I was asking these guys, I asked each of these guys, and like I said, several of the women that I talked to that are dabbling or successful in intermittent fasting, do you wake up, are you not hungry? And all the guys, they don't eat breakfast. I was laughing and borderline like joking around with them, like, how can you not eat breakfast? And the overwhelming answer I got was, I'm just not hungry and I listen to my body. If I do have breakfast, everyone said the same thing that you just brought up. I'm hungry by 10 or 11. And I've noticed that pattern. If I'm not completely insanely busy, if I have, let's say, 2 eggs at 6 o'clock in the morning, by 9 or 10, I'm starving. And I just thought, okay, well, I just didn't eat a big enough breakfast. But after listening to you and doing a little bit more research, it's starting to dawn on me. And I think a lot of people, and maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, this is where a lot of the caffeine comes in. I think now that I'm looking at all this, it's not necessarily that we're crashing because we're so tired. It's a lot of people are using coffee because they're hungry or they're craving something. Their body is telling us we need something. And I would love to hear some research on that at some point in my life where we're using coffee instead of food, but it's really all the same. That's brought on by that, breaking your fast too early. I think I just went on a rant. So,
Well, I will say that your body gets used to it. I don't suggest you go cold turkey to 16 hours of fasting. I would say you start with 12-12, which is like stop at 8 o'clock at night, start again at 8 in the morning. That's a 12-hour fast and a 12-hour fueling window. That's pretty easy for anybody to do.
yeah, I agree.
And as you do that, you can extend your fast in the mornings as is comfortable for you. And the key, and I'm going to say this probably many times, but the key is you have to fuel your body well. If you can fuel your body with 1,500 to 2,000 calories of Snicker bars, or you can fuel your body with 15 to 2,000 calories of salmon and chicken and vegetables and fruit, and one of them is going to help you be successful in tomorrow's fast and in feeling good and in everything. And the other, obviously, is going to have you starving, you're hangry, you're not going to be able to make your fast, it's going to be miserable, you're not doing your body justice with that kind of diet. So you've got to have the healthy whole foods. And women in our 50s, I know you are preaching it already, but we have to prioritize protein because we're losing muscle faster and faster, and it's aging us more and more, and it's slowing our metabolism. So the same calories we used to eat in our 40s now make us fatter in our 50s because our metabolism isn't burning them up as fast. And that muscle helps us burn those calories faster so that we can eat more, or we can eat the same and not gain and be, fluffy.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I think, well, you brought several points up there that were amazing, and I think one of the biggest ones that I hear, and one of the biggest mistakes is what you eat. So I know a lot of folks think like, well, I have when that 8 hour window came out, like, well, from 12 to 8, I'm just gonna eat, and I can eat whatever I want because I'm fasting. And you brought it up right. It doesn't matter the window. It matters what you're putting in your body still. It's not the 3 meals or this or that. It's you've got to get the correct nutrients into your body. And that to me simplifies the whole thing. Go starting with an 8 to 8 and then like a 12-hour window, and knowing like, hey, your diet doesn't change. You're going to eat whole nutrient dense foods with a priority on protein. So that's I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that tends to be a misconception, sort of like the if you eating for your macros kind of thing, like, well, if the donut fits into my carbs, it's okay. But that's
Yes.
definitely not the case. But
Yes.
protocols that you were speaking about, are there any specific standard protocols, or is it just what works best for you?
Well, I am a rebel, so I don't want to say that there's one right way or one best way for women over 50. I have successful clients who are morning people. They get up super early. They have a breakfast meal they eat in the mornings, and then they eat at lunch or midday. But they don't like a heavy meal. They don't like their meals at night. So they make their window earlier in the day. And that's what works for them, and that's great. Then I have others who do a longer fast, and they have that one meal per day. Now, I don't like that. I would never be successful doing that. But
I
that
try.
gives their mind says that's fine. They're not hungry and they want to eat whatever they want to eat, and they do it just like within a 4 hour period. But I don't recommend that one. I think for women over 50, that's going to stress us too much.
I agree.
But there are lots of different protocols. I'll share a few of those. 12-12 I've already mentioned. That's fasting for 12 hours, like from 8 at night until 8 the next morning. There's 14-10, so you would just extend your fast 2 hours longer, and your window of fueling would be less. 16-8 is what I do, and I've been doing this for over 7 years. I'm 58 years old, by the way. I haven't shared that.
You look
But
stunning. Like, you do not look 58. When we first got on, I was looking at your glowing face and I was like, damn, she looks phenomenal.
Well, I love your take on lighting a fire under our 50-year-old bottoms because that's what I'm about too. Do not need to resign ourselves to be fatter, lose energy, lose muscle, be lost in the background, be the wallflower. No, ma'am. We are getting
No.
to be our healthiest, best selves in our next half of life. And we are going to be stronger, and we can be fit and look good and feel good, and we can get on the ground with our grandchildren. I now have 4 grandchildren instead of just the twins.
You're
Um,
busy.
yes, but I am for sure on fire for health. And I do have this little story to tell you. I have a grandmother still alive at 103 and a half years old now. She has a June birthday, so she'll be 104 in June.
Wow.
I had 2 other grandparents make it well into their 90s. So, as a 58-year-old woman, looking at the genes that I have, I could have lots of years left to live. And I don't want home health bathing me. I don't want to lose the ability to live alone or to drive or, all the things that happen living in a nursing home, all of those things. I want to have quality of life as well as that quantity. And I know that intermittent fasting is very healthy for me. I haven't shared, I focus mostly on the fat loss because that's what we're all thinking about in January. But there are other benefits to this digestive rest that I am practicing. For instance, type 2 diabetes becomes a real threat to women in our 50s because we have been doing things wrong. We've been eating wrong, we've been dieting wrong, we've been doing lots of things best we knew how at the time. But now we know that when we eat the healthy whole foods instead of processed, when we take periods of digestive rest, we are helping our insulin be more sensitive to what we're doing rather than not paying attention, eating too much sugar and getting our blood sugar, so high so that our A1C is up there. And first we start with the pre-diabetes, and then a lot of times our doctors aren't even telling us lifestyle factors to fix. They're giving us the medication to fix it. And I am not for that. I want to be able to fix it with my lifestyle. I want to reverse the pre-diabetes and not have to go on that medication. So insulin resistance, avoiding type 2 diabetes is one of the benefits of intermittent fasting. Inflammation, our bones and joints start having, they pop a little louder, and they sometimes we get a frozen shoulder, or lots of things are beginning to happen in our 50s. Again, we are on fire for life in our 50s, though. We are not giving in to that, because when you don't use it, you lose it. So we've still got to squat. We've still got to get on the floor. We've still got to lift weights, because we're going to be carrying our groceries. We're carrying our grandchildren. We're trying to get something off of a high shelf, and we've got to have these joints moving well. Well, intermittent fasting gives our bodies digestive rest, where our body isn't inflamed because of that food that we've been giving it the entire time, like when we eat meals all the time. It is good for heart health, lowering cholesterol and the LDL bad cholesterol, blood triglycerides, and all the markers that lead to heart disease, like the inflammation and the insulin resistance and all of that works together to cause the heart issue. There's also studies that I can't give you exact research on, but I can tell you there is lots of evidence that intermittent fasting helps prevent certain types of cancer. It's good for brain health and anti-aging. And we love that aspect.
Yay! I think every woman listening, honestly, if they were being true to themselves, was like, okay, diabetes, cancer, ooh, anti-aging. Okay, I'm going to do it.
The weight loss and the anti-aging, yes.
Weight loss too. Like, okay, you got me. You convinced me. You sold me on this one. For women that are perimenopause, menopause, how do hormonal changes and fluctuations with estrogen and progesterone, how does that work with intermittent fasting? Does it make a difference, or does it just pair seamlessly?
Well, this is a healthy strategy. It's a healthy strategy, just like eating whole foods over processed, just like getting exercise. The more healthy things you do in perimenopause, the better you're going to ease through to the menopause season. And I don't think that it matters so much as you're losing estrogen in perimenopause, but I will say by menopause, when you don't have the sex hormones anymore fluctuating and all that, it's dynamic for fat loss. You're beyond those fluctuations in menopause. So it's actually better for us post-menopause, or actually, don't say it's better for us. It's good for us all the time, but we see better benefit in menopause because the sex hormones have calmed themselves right back down.
Right. So a big question I have for you, and I am very interested in this because I'm going to say it now. When we're done here, I'm going to I am going to start doing, I'm going to try the 12-hour. I'm going to try the 8x8. I'm going to give it a whirl. I think that that's completely doable. But a question that I have, and I'm sure many women have, is how does intermittent fasting work with exercise, specifically strength training? How can we fit that in? Where does exercise come into the eating window? Are there certain steps we should take, or is it just up to each individual how they manage that?
Well, most women that I coach are interested in losing fat, and they want the muscle so they look toned, but they don't want to grow big, bulky muscles. If you are after a swimsuit competition and you do want to have that competition ready, sculpted, big, muscular, almost manly looking body, you may need to not fast as much. I'll just do the disclaimer on that.
Right.
I am 58 years old though, and I'm showing you there is not lots of bulk here. There's not the flappy wings of the old lady. But, I'm not bulky and I've been lifting for many years. Um, I think that, and the program I teach, if you fuel well during your fueling window, if you get plenty of protein, especially, carbs even also for the energy, but especially protein for the building grounds for the muscle, you will have the healthy muscle that you are after and the fat burn that you're after. You do not have to eat within a certain amount if you're getting it within your fueling window. Now, the performance athletes that want to get that bulk on them, they may,
Right.
but I teach fat loss. And so my goal is that muscle is helping with fat loss and the anti-aging part as well. So as long as you are eating, well, whenever you exercise won't matter. I have been exercising. I've done it both ways. When I worked, I had to be at work very early, and I did not have the time in the morning to be able to do a workout. So mine was always in the afternoon. I loved it then because it was an outlet for the day, so I could get rid
Right.
of the stress of the day. But now that I'm retired, I am able to work out first thing in the morning when I'm fasted. And I have clients ask, "Oh, aren't you jittery? Do you get a headache? Or do you feel, really hungry after you work out?" I don't at all. I work out like at 5 in the morning and I don't break my fast until 11 or 12, and I don't feel hungry. Closer to my window, I might start
Right.
feeling hunger pangs, but it doesn't impact my energy to lift heavy, and I do lift heavy. I don't just go through the motions and lift the little 5-pound weights. I lifted 35 this morning in some of my leg movements and could have done more probably, but I don't have more, so that's a goal of mine. But I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was talking
No,
about
that's okay. Uh,
the morning, though. Now that I'm used to that morning workout and then still staying fasted afterwards, if I don't work out in the morning and I break my fast, I don't want to work out after I have a food on my stomach now. I've changed what feels good to me. And I am super flexible. I am a rebel. So when I'm teaching, I said, well, this is a way you can do it, and this is a way you can do it. You do it your way. And so if you're after bulk, this is what I want you to do. If you're after fat loss, this is what I want you to do. If you're a morning person, these are some options. I think the intermittent fasting as a strategy is perfect for all of our unique quirks and our tendencies and our time schedules, all of that.
so, in terms of working out, what would you, or and not even working out, let's just say on your daily day, and let's say you don't break your fast till 10. What do you say, or what is there any restrictions or protocol on, say, caffeine? Or I know a lot of people like to do a greens drink or something like that. I know the greens drink is probably part of like, okay, well, that moves into, breaking your fast. But what about caffeine?
Well, there are clean fasts, and then I don't want to call it a dirty fast, but
Oh,
it's
no,
not
I
as
like it.
clean.
I like it. Because I have
So
another
I don't
question.
do I do a dirty fast then because you have liquids only during your fast. Of course, you need water, 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 water. But that gets boring, and many people, I'm not a coffee drinker, so that's not even an issue for me. But most women are coffee
Right.
drinkers, and you like your morning coffee and you like that boost of caffeine. And there's nothing wrong with that in a dirty fast. You can have the caffeine, it's not breaking your fast in our eyes. We do allow some sweeteners, like if you want to put lemon in your water for a change, or any kind of fruit, in your water to give it a little help, so that it's not just bland water. Because some people are coming from not eating any water, drinking any water at all in their normal day. They go from coffee to Coke to tea to alcohol, and they don't have water. So I work with people who are starting with getting in water, and so allow certain things. Stevia would be the preferred sweetener if you have to use something that's plant-based and less processed maybe than the chemicals that are typically used as sweeteners. So we have options now like BCAAs, branched chain amino acid mix-ins, or collagen flavored mix-ins, hydration, let's see what it's called, electrolyte drinks. So we allow those in your water so that you get your water in, plus those other benefits that you're mixing in. But you can't have more than 50 calories total during your fast, or that would be considered breaking your fast. Now, that's my dirty fast. A clean fast would be simply water, no caffeine, no sweetener or anything. So that's why I like a dirty fast. Again, I'm a rebel. You tell me this is the rule, and I have to, I'm going to either lose it or quit, or I'm going to break the rule and figure a way to get around it.
Yeah, me too. If there's a loophole, it's like it's almost a challenge. I
Yes,
have to break it. I have to find the loophole in this. So
yes.
dirty fast. Let's touch a little bit on alcohol. Some people no alcohol 1 time a week, 2 times a week. Some women have a cocktail every night or a glass of wine. Where does that fall in intermittent fasting? And disclaimer: we understand that alcohol doesn't have health benefits, or minimal at best. So we're not advocating that. We're just saying, in reality, where does that fall in?
Well, alcohol would be over 50 calories, so it would need to come during your fueling window. It Yes, it's a toxin, poison. It does slow down your fat loss because your body prioritizes getting rid of the alcohol before it gets rid of your food.
Right.
So if you've had the carbs and fats that day, you're postponing using it for fuel, as you're prioritizing the alcohol. But I am not a teetotaler. That's what
Yeah.
our community calls it, what my mom used to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so if it just happens during your window and it's not the majority of what your calories are made up of, you will be fine. It's not, no food is not allowed with intermittent fasting. It's just focusing on the window for fueling and the window for fasting. So
Hold on, let me
I
get my
teach
calendar.
I
So,
teach other strategies like carb cycling, whole food nutrition, strength training, other things that help us stay healthy. But this is simply about the digestive rest, not about what food choices you make.
Right. I was going to say I'm now moving my window, scheduling, making sure happy hour falls in my window. We're good. We're good. We're excellent. Okay, great. I was glad you cleared that up for me. What are the biggest mistakes that you see women making when they're trying or in the process of intermittent fasting?
One is the food that they are eating is not the right food to keep them full to last through their fast. So they're eating diet prepackaged meals or bars or things because they think that whatever they eat is fine, and it's not. You have to have good quality food to get you through that fast so that you're not hungry and your body has the nutrients that it needs to function well. Their other mistake is they think more is better. So if 16 hours is a good fast, I'm going to go 20 hours. And you may actually be adding stress to your body, cortisol to your body.
Yeah.
Belly fat is going to actually happen instead of the benefit you think you're going to get by having a longer fast. That's why I'm very flexible with women over 50. If you think 12-12 is as far as you want to go, and that's good with you, and you see results, stick with it. You don't have to do the one I do.
Right. I think that's really important too that you pointed it out, because women in general, we tend to be overachievers and more is better. So, oh hey, if we exercise for 30 minutes, 90 minutes is really gonna help me lose weight. Or like you said, take a fast all the way down, where you're only eating in a 4-hour window, if that doesn't necessarily work with you. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, because that's really important. What would you say to women clients that are struggling to be consistent with intermittent fasting? Because I could see that Monday through Friday 3 p.m. consistency being there, and then everybody kind of falling off midway through Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes. When I first started, and I was trying to be very, very consistent, when I went on, say, a vacation with other couples, and while they had their breakfast, I was either working out or dressing after my workout, having my shower and all that. So I just avoided it altogether, and I skipped my breakfast, even though that was the social thing happening on the weekend. Now that I have been fasting for years, more than 7 years now, if I break my fast early to have a breakfast with the friends on our vacation, it's really okay, because the rest of the 364 days of the year I am fasting. But what you don't want to do is stop every other few days, because then your body never gets used to missing that, and it's going to be harder for you to fast on the days that you want to, because your body is expecting that food, because it's never gotten used to dipping into your stored fat for fuel. It's never gotten used to that.
I would assume that and this is a big assumption, I would assume that maybe you kind of you're actually harming yourself by being inconsistent, because when you be throwing your body into more of a fight or flight on your fasting days, and then that's going to trigger cortisol, and basically slow your metabolism down and all the things.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. That's a really good point to bring up, and it's a great mantra to keep in your head about not trying to stay as consistently as possible. And like you said, if there's a few times here and there, and you work around it, but always eating the proper amount of whole foods and protein and things like that.
And I'm not a stickler for 8 p.m. I'm not going to have another bite. if the meal is later that night and it's 8:15, that's okay. I'm not going to wait till 11:15 on the dot. A little leeway both ways is fine with me. That rebel in me and in you, we have to have that little bit because your body doesn't know, it doesn't have a clock like that. It will have the benefit of the 16-hour fast if it's 15 and a half hours or if it's 16 and a half hours. Within range, it's fine.
No, I love that. I always say that we don't have dog tags, sewn inside our bodies with this is your weight you're supposed to be, and these are the calories you're supposed to eat. And again, this is your window, and oh, it's 8:01, and you screwed it all up. So that's another important one too, is to give yourself some grace. You're working a lifestyle, not, you're not on the clock. And that would frustrate me a lot.
I want to share a thought too. We're acting like this is all brand new. Intermittent fasting is all brand new. But if you go back to biblical days, there were fasts for religious reasons. If you go back to before the agricultural revolution and before electricity, we humans went to bed at dark and we got up at daylight without having eaten all of that time. And then we had to go gather our food or, find our food. So it was we were naturally fasting then. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's not like this new thing that has been decided that we should all try because nothing else is working. This is just bringing back something that worked before man screwed up everything with, the advances we've made. Because food is on every corner, lights are everywhere, we can stay up, we can eat all the time. You can't go on a road trip hardly anywhere without so many temptations in front of you. But we're going back to more of a natural timing, a natural schedule that used to work for us to be healthy humans.
That's a really good point when you think about it. Modern technology, modern conveniences have begun to influence, well, they've 100% influenced and dictated almost, like with media, like you're saying, Tony the Tiger and everything, how we eat now. And no, that's not how we ate before. And that's not how our bodies are programmed to be. Again, everyone's different and everyone has to find what works best for their bodies and their circumstances, their work schedules, all that good stuff. But for someone like me, someone who is about to try, wants to give it the old college try, I know you already said the biggest tip, and this is the tip that sold me right away when we first started talking, was, give yourself grace and start with a very small window of fasting. What other tip or tips would you say for someone who wants to jump in and try this?
Instead of thinking about what you're missing, think about what you're gaining. You're going to cause your body to dip into fat stores because you're not going to have fuel ready for it. That is a win. That is a good thing that you're going to want. You're going to have more time in the mornings because you're going to have one less meal to prepare, sit down and eat, and then clean up after.
It's true.
And you're going to find that I think, I am this way anyway. I am super energized. My brain is firing on all cylinders. I am my most productive in my fasted state. When I eat, I slow down. My thinking is not as sharp. It's just I go down during the rest of the day after I've eaten. And so if you want to be sharp and ready and have more time, try delaying your first meal of the day, and you'll just get used to that and start extending it longer and longer. Again, I suggest 14 or 16 hours, not more than that for women over 50, because it might backfire on us.
No, that's perfect. It makes it so doable. And again, it lets you experiment and get comfortable and adjust your schedules to it. I think those are the best tips ever. But before we go, and I didn't give you a heads up on this, so If you blank out on these next three super fun questions, but if you blank out, you can give them to me at the later date. You can email them to me. But if you could give your journey into your 50s, could be as a coach, could be with intermittent fasting, whatever you want to say, if you could give it the name of a cocktail, mocktail, could be water, could be anything, does not have to have alcohol in it, what would you name your journey?
My journey. Um, in a drink. It's almost two.
Two's good. Two's a rebel.
It would go from Diet Coke to an electrolyte drink. Water.
Got it.
Water
That's
with
very
electrolyte.
that actually is very descriptive of your journey. Honestly, I like that. I personally was going to say something that a guest said earlier, and it was a male. He was talking about his wife that went through menopause, and I was going to say, "You're fireball because you're such a rebel." But he already took that. So did he take it? Maybe he didn't take it. But I like that. I like that comparison of Diet Coke to electrolytes. It's perfect.
Well,
All right.
I like the fireball idea too, though, because there are women on both extremes, women that are overachievers and overdoers and all that. But then there are the others who are victims, and they think, oh, I can't lift weights. I don't know how. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to bulk up. And I don't want to intermittent fast because I'll get shaky. I don't want to, and they're giving excuses
Right.
when they should be taking charge and being the best they can be. And I love your fire.
All right. Now, if you could give your journey a name. So it could be something that's already been published out there, a book, a movie, a TV show, or just create a title for your journey.
Well, I have a new lead magnet. It's called Rewrite Your Wellness Story. And it's how I lead into my Fat Loss School podcast with the idea of you're learning and you're taking notes and you're doing something different to improve your health. So Rewrite Your Wellness Story would be a fine one. Fat Loss School is also the title of my podcast, is also my journey. I'm teaching still at 58, and I haven't been employed by the Board of Education in forever, but I'm still a teacher. It's just the subject that I'm teaching now and living that's
Right.
different.
I like that. I was already thinking that when I said, I hope she says that because that would be perfect. All right. Last question. I created a Spotify playlist for the podcast, and every guest that comes on, I ask them, give me a song that also sort of is representative of you or your journey, and I add it to the Kellfire Show Spotify playlist. It's very eclectic, so no song is off limits. What would yours be? And again, if you need a minute or two, or you want to just send it to me, I'll let everybody know it went up.
It would have to be a 70s funk type, upbeat, happy song. I love KC and the Sunshine Band.
Oh, yes.
So I would have to figure out which one of those.
Let me see. Well, let me pull up Casey and the Sunshine Band and see what we've got, and then you could always just send it to me.
I don't want it to be Boogie Shoes.
Casey, boy, we're really we are showing our age though.
Oh, but I love them. And even my children who are 36 and 20, 34 and 27, that's right, 34 and 27, they grew up with my songs and they still have programmed into their cars and trucks 70s on 7 because they enjoy my happy, upbeat music that they grew up to, and just like I did.
That's my son. I grew up in 80s hair bands. Metal hair bands was my coming of age, and my youngest, and Journey and things like that. And my youngest still, I think he lives in the 70s and 80s. He might be progressing into 90s music now, but I feel like that's a medal of achievement when mothers impart their musical tastes on their children.
Yes. And you mentioned Journey. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing. Yes, that's a good one. Let me see if there's one.
But you can send it to me too if you want to listen and really key in on the one that best.
Yeah, it might not be KC. I might find a different one, but
that's fine. We'll put it in the comments when
that's the way I like it. That's that.
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, I'm going to be dancing to that the rest of the day in the office.
It's going to be in your mind, spinning around.
I won't be able to get rid of it. It will be in there. Well, Amy, thank you so much for coming on today. I've learned a lot. I'm going to give it a go. I like the 12-hour window. But why don't you tell everybody where, your podcast title, where they can find you, should they have any questions, or they want to listen to other episodes? Go ahead, plug yourself.
Okay. I am at Fat Loss School. That's my podcast, Fat Loss School. And you can find it on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you access podcasts. I have a free Facebook community for women over 50 who are interested in learning more about me coaching them and tips, and I do research articles and recipes and before and after pictures, all kinds of fun stuff, but it's a free community. That you can find by going to my Instagram or my show notes. Either way, Instagram is at Amy Bryan Faster Way, and but the show notes will have the access to that as well. So those are my main things. I do have freebie downloads and a newsletter that goes out once a week to learn more from me. So those are all the ways, and you can find them either on Instagram or in my podcast show notes.
That's awesome. That's a lot. And that's really good resource for women. We're always looking for something and for information, so that's fantastic. So you guys go visit
everybody.
Amy.
I can't coach everybody, but I can give helpful tips so that you can take one step at a time and progress.
Amazing. Well, Amy, again, thank you so much for coming on. The last time I was on your podcast, I loved it. I had so much fun, and again, I had so much fun today. And
I did too. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. And I hope, any other time we want to get on and we want to just talk about nutrition and fitness and let everybody join in on our conversation, I'd love to have you back on.
Great. I have more strategies to share.
All right, Amy, thank you. And we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to tell you guys about our supplement line. If you haven't already heard, I put a lot of time and effort into sourcing out what I think are the most important things for women's health in this transition in our lives. And we have Dr. Kellfire's Potions and Elixirs. What we have first is a vegan vanilla protein powder. We also have, this is one of my favorites. It's prebiotic and probiotic. It's a greens powder. So you get your greens, you get your fruits, but you do really attack that gut health and balance that out. So I'm a big fan of Thrive. We also have apple cider gummies. If you've ever had apple cider vinegar, you know how harsh that is to take. So we have our gummies, and they are apple flavored, and they're really good. Supports metabolism. We have the lovely collagen and biotin combo in liquid, so it's awesome. You can put it in your drinks, you can put it in your teas, you can just shoot it in your mouth. I love tinctures, but collagen, biotin for hair and nails, because that is extremely important at this time in our lives. 8-in-1 mushrooms, illumination. I love this product. It's 8 different nootropic mushrooms that supports immunity, anxiety, mental state, awareness, focus. This is my favorite baby. And then I probably shouldn't have said that, because this one is my favorite baby. This one is bovine glandular. So this is derived from bovine uterus. This is for hormone balance and libido support. This is a staple, and I think it should be a staple in every woman's wellness kit. All of our supplements you can get on mytempesta.com. Just hit the shop link and everything there. You can get it one time. You could sign up for a subscription with discounts and they'll just come to your door. It will spark your wellness journey and ignite your fire.